I'd like to call the Charter Township of Chesterfield regular township board meeting for Tuesday, September 9th, 2025 to order at 7 p.m. Could we all please stand, face the flag, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3, Clerk Barry, could you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Here.
Treasurer Elliott. Here. Trustee Anderson. Here. Trustee Joseph. Here. Trustee Hornberger. Here. Trustee Vosberg. Here. Clerk Barry is here.
Item 4, the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Motion by Trustee Hornberger, supported by, was that Trustee Vosberg? Discussion? If you would please use the keypad in front of you to vote. The results will appear on the screen in front of you. The display will occur once the votes are cast. Pardon me? Trustee Anderson? Motion passes. We'll move on to the next item. Item 5, presentations. There will be a presentation tonight. We'll start out with Treasurer Elliott.
Is that under presentations or department reports?
Department reports. I'll move to presentations. We have none then. Item 6, department reports. Treasurer Elliott.
Thank you. Just to give you a brief overview of the investment report on the first page here, this investment report is for investments only. It does not include our bank accounts. As you can see, our priority in these investments is safety, liquidity, and yield. There's a total of $34 million in the investments in total. Water and sewer is the makeup of the First State Bank, Robinson Capital, and a portion of Huntington Bank. And that is a laddered strategy, and that supports our needs for liquidity in that account. Public safety consists of your Comerica account and some of the Huntington Bank account, and most of the rest of that is for general fund. There's a lot of T-bills and something called a CDAR, which gives you, CDARs are a program that is invested in CDs that leaves the funds insured by the bank, FDIC insurance. Next slide, please, Karen. On this page of the investment report, if you glance down to the very end of the bottom graph, you'll see a total investment, and those are the general fund has a little over, well, almost 12 million. Public safety, about 11 million, water and sewer, over 10 million, and then the healthcare fund has over $1 million in it. And then at the top, we have weighted averages of the general fund, public safety, water and sewer, and the healthcare fund. And these are decreased from when the last time I've given the report. You'll start to see these coming down as the investments mature. And then next slide, please, Karen. And just along that lines, you're going to see a comparison here of accrued interest from June of 30th of 24 to June 30th of 25. Although we're doing very well and still getting a lot of good interest income. Oh, they can't hear me? I think they can turn it up, but I don't have the ability to do that. I apologize that you can't hear me. Just a quick overview of the interest income comparison from 24 and 25. Is that better? Okay. All right. Do you need me to cover those other pages before? It's good? Okay. All right, and that was, that's pretty much the overview of the investment report, and I will email this to the board later today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mason, you're up next.
Good evening. Just wanted to give a brief update today following the recent training experience that we had at the Lansing Center. Bureau of Elections hosted over 700 local election officials ranging from county clerks to village clerks recently, go over administrative practices as well as changes in rules and legislation that's coming through the pipeline. Some training highlights include closing procedures and receiving boards, record retention, post-election audits, the rise of AI and what it means for us as clerks, the recall process, and recent legislation and rulemaking. The big takeaways here, for military voters, there are about 6 communities here in the state that have military voters and overseas civilians. They're a protected class of voters, and they are provided different means to vote. Historically, it was that a voter would be emailed a ballot, and then if they were stationed in Qatar, for instance, they'd have to mail it back to us. And oftentimes, if the ballot wasn't received by Election Day, their ballot would be rejected. However, we now have an electronic platform for that. There is a secure portal that the state has sanctioned where we can now email a ballot to a military or merchant marine overseas, and they can remit it back to us using their DoD CAC system, which is a access card, and it would electronically endorse the ballot and encrypt it. So it provides them a more apt approach to return the ballot, as they are the ones ensuring that we have this continued freedom. We also hosted Thomas Hicks. He is the Assistant Commissioner for the U.S. Election Commission. He had spoken about HAVA money. HAVA money is a big deal for us in elections. It subsidizes a lot of the actions that we take, including proctoring elections. There has been talk about HAVA monies drying up. Why is that impactful for us here at the local unit? Michigan's home rule. The local clerks run elections. Our equipment is up for bid in 2027. Last time it went out for bid and we received our equipment was 2017. If that money and funding source isn't available, it would fall to the local unit if the county government does not subsidize it. Last go around, there was a plethora of HAVA money. Macomb County ordered the equipment, and then they were reimbursed by DOJ. Putting together just an idea of what that number looks like. I'm going to apologize in advance. It's ugly, but that is the cost of doing business for elections. It's a little over $250,000. What does that look like? It's a rather lean allotment of equipment. We currently have 10 precincts, therefore we have to have 10 tabulators. We now host early voting. We use 4 for that. That provides us 14. The safe ratio is to have a backup of 4 machines, so that's 18 units. 1 high-speed tabulator with using one of our 450s as a legacy backup. In order to be ADA compliant, we have to have the touchscreen VAT, which is a voter assist terminal, 18 of those, which again compounds to this $255,000 figure. We are hopeful that some of this HAVA money will come through. I am going to reach out to Midwest to see if there's anything in the pipeline that we can apply for grant-wise to just shore this up in the event that it happens. However, the state did allocate in their appropriations for us last year $15 an hour to subsidize early voting costs, so we will be eligible for that in August and November next year. Again, that gives us some funding, but it does not replace it. And again, grants are very important to us, as well as reimbursement opportunities. Our service we provide to the residents, it's very personnel heavy, doesn't necessarily create a product at the end of the day except the election results that we see. So I would like the board to be cognizant of that. Other changes, Public Act 158 has new firearm restrictions. So for you all, this is important. It used to be that individuals could lawfully open carry in polling locations. We will be sharing this information with law enforcement. The Election Assistance Commission puts together a nice pocket guide for them because the election laws around precinct polling locations, things of that sort, they're not something that they deal with every day, so it's a nice reference to have. But once we start issuing AV ballots, which is the 40 days before the election up until election day, individuals will not be able to come to the clerk's office bearing an open weapon. If they are a licensed CPL holder, they still will be able to have their weapon concealed. This is also extended to the drop boxes outside, for instance, as well as the community center, which is our early voting site, and all precinct polling locations. So something to be mindful of. And then last, this is a little bit of the rulemaking that comes from the Secretary of State. We get a lot of promulgated things. There's a legal instrument called latches. Latches essentially is changing from the 28-day statutory deadline for someone to claim that there was a wrong that happened to them. And this could be things such as the date of election, candidates who were disqualified for the ballot for fatal errors such as circulating petitions. You might go, why is that important to us? Cindy is a local filing official here, so for all local office, includes library board and all of you. So just something to be mindful of. We didn't have any issues with that, but it does change it now from 28 days to 45, so it sets the guidelines a little further back, so if there's anything contentious. But that is the update I have, and I'd like to thank the supervisor's office as well as the residents to allow us to continue our education and election administration and bring it back to the residents to deliver high service to them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sonnenberg, you're up next.
Good evening. We just want to give a couple quick updates on our projects. First of all, our main office and police department renovation project, or large projects, we are coming to the final phases. We are in the process of doing the punch-out list on both those projects over the next couple weeks. You'll see some final touches over at our police department, and you'll notice on the floor in front of me that there's some tape lines. That's for our podium, our high-low podium that we'll be installing, that we're working on the final details. Both those projects will come in under budget, and we'll be excited to wrap those two projects up. So at the next meeting, I'll have a little bit more detailed update on those. This picture you see here was from our last board meeting. This is Pollard Park, the concession and bathroom building. We started painting it at the last meeting. This is what it looks like today. So we wrapped up the painting and some concrete touch-up work. So just kind of a facelift. It hasn't had a paint job in years, so we wanted to give it a little facelift. It looks really nice for those of you that are out at the park. We're going to be at the next board meeting, we're going to be bringing some of the pavilions from Brandenburg, which are in a much-needed coat of paint also. So you'll see that at the next board meeting. Here you'll see that this is our before picture. We showed this last time at our last board meeting for Fire Station 3, that masonry wall that all of us have seen out front. We partnered with the DIA. We put it together a committee, and we did a mural project, public art mural project. You'll notice here that it's finished as of now, and you can kind of see Quinn that's our artist who did the mural. She did a fantastic job. This next slide will kind of appreciate how much detail she put into it. You'll notice that boat, how there's so many angles and corners. When you get up close to that wall, you'll really appreciate how much detail she put into trying to wrap that mural around those walls. So we're looking forward to the the fire open house, so people can get a closer look at that. That's upcoming. This photo here you'll see is our main office complex. You'll notice to the right, and then that yellow line represents a new pathway. The pathway is actually cut. That red arrow represents the drain that goes through there. We are currently working on some budget bridge options, some simple pedestrian bridge, nothing too complicated, but we're working on those now, so we're excited when we get those numbers back to bring it to you. But those residents that have walked that trail, you can get to the creek, but unfortunately you can't cross it yet. So we're looking forward to connecting that stub street and that pathway to get the residents over to the bike trails in the municipal office. Next slide, for those of you who have been patiently waiting on the bench program, I just want to give you a quick update. That we've sold several benches. You can see this one for the seniors and other program, or other people have bought our benches. We have been working with the vendor and routering out those nameplates. That's a pretty thick, about a 1/4-inch piece of bronze. That's those nameplates are on. So we wanted to make sure that it was done right. So we're routering that in and insetting it and epoxying it in there so it'll last for years. So we're wrapping those up now, and we're looking forward to start installing those next week. This next slide is Connie Bowles. We've talked about this concept several times. This is only a concept. We're going to be talking about this concept moving forward. This is the parcel that's over at 25 and Gratiot. What you'll see us do is we have some money in the budget to put a gravel parking lot. All it really is just a gravel pad so we can get people out there. We've had some people donate some benches and they want to get them on site. So this next slide you'll see where that red X is, or that red box is. We will be installing some gravel, just a simple gravel pad so people can drive out there if you want to take your dog for a walk or just see the property. And hopefully we'll continue to talk about this proposed concept drawing in the future. That's it. Any questions?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Move next to Clerk Berry. Clerk Berry, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The clerk's office has been very busy the last 30 days. September for us is kind of a kickoff of our timeline for elections, and that's why the Bureau of Elections had their training when they did. A lot of folks aren't aware that when we have an August election, we start preparing for that August election 11 months prior to it. So there's an awful lot that goes on and a lot of moving parts, and we need to make sure that they all work seamlessly on Election Day. So therefore, we've started that. In addition to that, we've been proactively working as well on a couple of other items I'd like to brief the board and the public on. First is we're very excited again to bring to the public here in Chesterfield our next Shred Day, which is our Saturday Shred Day by popular request. It will be September the 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're very happy to offer you the option of being able to watch all of your personal documents and business documents be safely and securely shredded on site. Big thank you to one of our sponsors, which is Jars Cannabis, for being one of our sponsors on this event. There is another sponsor as well, so it costs the township nothing. It's a free, secure, and great way to protect your identity while cleaning out your files, and we invite everyone to take advantage of that opportunity. Secondly, our records and FOIA training for township employees will begin tomorrow. We do this, try to do it on an annual basis because of turnover, and also things will change with regards to the law, and also to remind our employees of how to properly handle and manage records, in addition to Freedom of Information Act requests, which have escalated tremendously over the last 5 years, basically since 2020. So the clerk's office is rolling out an important FOIA and records training session for all township employees. We will cover different types of records and how they should be handled, legal requirements surrounding documentation, the life cycle of a record from creation to retention to destruction, and every employee's responsibility as a record keeper. Each employee here creates records every day, and in order to ensure transparency and the legacy of those records, it is important that they understand how to manage them. We are also very pleased to have our Township Attorney Chris Anderson presenting on the Freedom of Information Act. She will be talking about ensuring public transparency by granting access to certain government records, and how employees play a crucial role in maintaining the accurate and accessible records. We also go over how to handle FOIA requests properly and legally. And then in October, we are going to be following up with individual meetings with our individual departments that will be document specific to the documents that they handle every day, such as their records retention schedule, standard document naming conventions, because it becomes very problematic when you have one department that's naming records for a particular property one way, let's say by the parcel ID, and another department that is calling that same property or that same record series with an address. It's very difficult to cross-reference, and it's very easy for things to get missed. So we are going to teach them how to standardize the document naming conventions. And we are also going to teach them their best practices for record storage and organization, so things can be found quickly and most efficiently. Lastly, our Laserfish system upgrade and implementation has essentially begun. That will actually be installed on our servers next week, and that is a major step forward in improving our records management. We have had initial kickoff meetings with our implementation team as well as the engineers to begin developing a project timeline, as well as defining our goals, needs, and features that we want in our new records repository. This upgrade will support more efficient document storage and retrieval, better search capabilities and user access, as well as stronger compliance with retention policies and FOIA. We are committed to making this system intuitive and tailored to the day-to-day needs of our departments so that we can better serve our residents and the public at large. Lastly, we have had quite a transition in our accounting department. We have recently had a change in personnel in our finance area, and so there's been a bit of a transition on who is actually managing accounting. And I will say that Deputy Clerk Rush has been doing an outstanding job in managing all of the former finance director's functions with regards to our accounting department. It would not have been possible without the cooperation of Supervisor Kersten and his team, specifically Karen and Sarah, who have been very, very helpful to us, and Treasurer Elliott's team has been absolutely invaluable. Specifically, her deputy, Nicole Thomas, and Crystal Sillery have been just I can't explain how giving they have been with their time, how generous they have been with their expertise, and we could not have done it without that cooperation. So at a time when so many people like to say that government doesn't work, I wanted to take this opportunity to point out to the board as well as to the members of the public that this is a perfect example of how the three executives are working seamlessly together for an uninterrupted process that best serves our residents. So I'm very, very proud of the work that we've done, and I, again, want to thank Supervisor Kersten and particularly Treasurer Elliott and her team as well, and everyone I mentioned for making that possible. Thank you.
Trustee Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just a quick update from the Senior Advisory Board. Relatively brief meeting last night, but just wanted to share the continued appreciation that the commission members have for, one, the creation of and the response that they get from monthly meetings. So they feel as though issues that were really unfortunate when we formed the committee, if you recall, the seniors had been moved from their home here in this building to the community center, and there were a number of problems with programming and how communication went, and the Senior Advisory Board was formed to give an opportunity to have some increased dialogue straight from our seniors to our board, and it's worked out really well, and all of the issues that could have previously, kind of gotten legs and been a big problem are now resolved very, very quickly. They have the meeting format begins with Parks and Rec director or one of her administrators updating the Senior Advisory Board on all the happenings within Parks and Rec. I was glad to hear Mr. Sonnenberg used as a picture the senior bench. They pooled their resources and wanted a bench in the park, and that was a question last night. Do we know any kind of status update? So I'm happy to report to them moving forward with that project. One of their other concerns, and it came about with actually it was Aaron last night, not Ms. Vanderson, who updated the seniors on any issues that will be before the board. And the concerns about security at Brandenburg and the amount of commitment that the board has made to infrastructure, the park itself, and the playscapes. So issues involving vandalism, and there was actually some concerns about the bronze that's associated with these benches, and could that be, targeted by people who, and there was some really positive feedback about the agenda item that we will vote on regarding the gate arms and the increased security that potentially provides for Brandenburg and all of the recent assets that went in there. So overall, very positive meeting and much appreciation. They're looking forward to a number of the bus trips that are planned and all of the programming that is scheduled to be coming their way. The attendance continues to increase, and as some of the programming is transitioned back to this building with the renovations being complete, there's some unexpected problems in that there are groups that prefer the community center, and initially, when can we get back into our home, and now can we stay here? Can staff stay here? So it's a nice problem to have, but overall, very, very positive meeting, and they continue to be very well appreciated. So thank you.
Trustee Anderson, anything? No. Other side, anything? Item 7. Public comments on agenda items only. There is a 3-minute time limit. If you would, please state your name just for the record. It is not required, just so we can keep track. For the group that's here for the public hearing, there's a public hearing following after this, so you can speak at that if you choose also. So, public comments, item 7. On agenda items only.
I'm here about the proposed reconstruction or replacing of lines on Peggy Lane in the amount of $3 million. I'm not against this. I think it needs it. We need a line on Sutton. But what bothers me is we went through a series last meeting of trying to add money to the water bills, basically based on other things. But contention has always been there's money in that water bill for replacement to about $3 million a year. It doesn't show up now. And you've got construction already submitted to do Jefferson down by 21 Mile. You're now adding this, so that's $6 million. You probably got another couple $1 million if you ever do something. And I would wonder, I do as a citizen, wonder where this money is coming from. Do we have money in there or not in the present billing? Part of the presentation that ended up just an add to the cost of the water was supposed to be a complete walkthrough as to what's included in our water and sewer bills. The supervisor promised that 2 or 3 months ago. We never got that. We have no idea what we're paying for or how much for that water. I've always assumed, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, that there is money in there for depreciation, but it's not showing up anyplace. I think if you're representing this community, or I hope you're representing us, that you want to know what's in that water bill and what we should be getting for it. I think there's money in there to do this, because if you add this on top of the $3 million already committed to Jefferson, you're going to be looking for a water rate, unless you know exactly what's in there and what you can afford. Take a look at it. Ask him to get a walkthrough. You got the person right over there that can walk you through what's in the water bill. Do that before you vote on this. Make sure you know what's in that water bill and what we assume we can afford. And if we can't afford it, then charge us, but let us know what's in there. Thank you.
The button. Oh, somebody turned it on for me. We have a lot of spending going on. Board members ought to look at the payment of bills once in a while. If you look at last board meeting and you look at this board meeting, there's invoices that pop up. We paying Hubble, Roth and Clerk $2,000. This is probably the 3rd or 4th payment after the initial payment that was made of like $7,200 in 2024. Our facilities and operations department has outsourced about $30,000 in lawn and grass cutting. It seems like we have trouble fixing leaky faucets and toilets and changing a receptacle, so we just call in the people. I guess we don't have, either we don't have the manpower utilization or we don't have the skill sets. But if you look at these bill runs, they're getting to be ridiculous. I mean, last one, there was a 6-foot rappel allure. Are we gonna make that the Chesterfield Township mascot? And then we're going on to an agenda item today where we're going to add a $50,000 arm to Brandenburg Park, and it consistently says for safety. Well, we have a public safety department that keeps our people and our residents safe, all the arm can do is add to security. It's like a play on words. It's like, if we don't have this, our residents won't be safe. Well, that's not true. We pay 7.95 millage. I almost pay $1,000 a year for public safety. And I see them in the park quite often, especially at night. So are we saying that our public safety department isn't adequate to keep our residents safe? And we need to have this $50,000 arm that wasn't in the budget originally. It wasn't what you would say in the budget as a need, so it's got to be a want or a wish, which is second best. But we're spending money like we have oodles of it, and at the same time, Supervisor Kersten wants to increase water and sewer fees, and he's looking for a Parks and Rec millage. I mean, what gives? You spend money like you got it, but really you want more from the residents. And the residents' dollars aren't being respected, because if you actually went through the payment of bills and put needs versus
Christopher Pierrick, Chesterfield Township. Yeah, I want to speak on agenda item D as well, and that's the arm for the gatehouse at Brandenburg Park. So I know that it's 50 grand. What's the purpose of it right now? What's the necessity of it right now? And if there isn't a kiosk being put in right away, how's it going to be controlled when nobody's in the gatehouse? Does that mean that nobody's allowed in the park if there's nobody in the gatehouse? There is no budgeted money for this, so the money's got to come from somewhere. The Parks and Rec is falling behind. I would assume $2.4 million a year, because that's what the proposed budget was. The proposed millage that was going to be put on a special election was needed for, and that would help out Parks and Rec. And so, don't spend the money if we don't have to. There's a surplus of money that can be used for a gravel parking area at County Bowls. Why not use some of that surplus money instead of trying to find money from somewhere where it doesn't exist? So I'm just asking all the board members to vote no on item D. Thank you.
Janice Young. Got my sign here because I know a lot of times the audio and the visual doesn't work online, so I want everybody to understand what's really happening at the meeting. So I want you to stop the spending. I've said it over and over and over again. $50,000 for an electronic arm that doesn't collect any fees. It's just to keep residents out after hours and after Labor Day. People look forward to that time of the year. I don't know what the intent is, because we don't get privy to that until after we get our comments. But it looks like it's meant to keep people out, which is us. And the other time, I have to spend $5 to get into that park, which is why I never go there. I go down to New Baltimore. On the consent agenda, I don't really have too much to say about tonight, other than there are some expenditures that I am concerned about. I did email this board about some expenses back from the April 8th consent agenda. And I know if nothing is brought forward, you guys approve it as a whole, it doesn't get discussed. But there was $20,000 spent by Spalding to Decker on the April 8th bill run that was charged to the Water and Sewer Fund, and the reason was safe routes to school. I don't know how that's related to the Water and Sewer Fund. So I think there is some tie, and you said there wasn't, to Water and Sewer Funds being spent maybe against the Bolt, didn't fit the Bolt test. I'd like to know how that fits the Bolt test. FOIA expenses have gone up. You're welcome, because I have to FOIA everything because I don't seem to ever get any information when I come here and I ask. I ask questions. I asked about the 6-foot lure decoration that was spent by the Facilities and Operation Department, and no one said a word. You guys all approved that bill run. Every one of you approved it. You didn't pull anything out of the last bill run. You didn't question it. $600 for a giant decoration that's going to be used, maybe. In the last 10 years, how many Bassmasters have been in Michigan? Do any of you know? 4 or 6. There's been 6 in Michigan in the last 10 years. How many in Chesterfield? 2. So we have no guarantee that that lure, that 6-foot lure decoration, is ever going to get used again. I know it's just a drop in the bucket on anything. Go ahead and smirk all you want, whatever. But the fact is, you guys spend money on useless crap that isn't going to mean anything to anybody. $600, whatever. You know, it's a fishing lure. Maybe you think it's a great thing for the township. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't think it's so great. It didn't. I kind of did a little bit of a Facebook debate about it, and some people said, well, if that got the Bassmaster here, that was bought like in July 30th. That Bassmaster was scheduled to come here way before that. So that money was spent for no reason. There was absolutely no reason to spend the money on that. So I guess that's all I have to say. Have a good night.
In case you didn't get, vote no for a $50,000 gate arm, okay? Stop spending money. Okay. Talk about transparency. Our superintendent here, every meeting we have, he talks about how transparency is part of his agenda and that. You're voting tonight on $3 million for a new water line down Peggy Lane. You got $3 million or whatever it is going down Jefferson. Are you being transparent with us? Do we have the money for it? I know there was talk, there's what, in enterprise fund or something, 10 million plus 3 million, you got 13 million? Is that your transparency? You're gonna spend that 13 million so we have to pass new money for the water department? What's going on here? Let's be transparent about it. Let's not just slip little things here and little things there and call yourself being transparent. It's not, you're not telling the truth. Brandenburg Park, you had $250,000 to repave that parking lot, which was due to be repaved 7 years ago. Earlier this year, you asked your engineer, well, if we just seal it, how long will that last? He said, a year to 3 years. Then you're going to have to do, oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong on the date and time, okay. Well, he did say it was only going to last so long. Instead of spending $50,000 to just seal it, make it look black and beautiful for a Bassmaster, $50,000 for a gate, why don't you spend the $250 and put the parking lot in like it needs to be done? You're going to come back 3 years from now or whatever. Oh, we need $250,000 to pave the parking lot. But you got $150,000 left over now. What are you going to do with that? Slip that in to buy something else that we don't need? You people are here to spend the money for things that this township needs, not what you want, not what you think people might want. Do you even read your emails? Or how many times, oh, well, there are a bunch of people bitching and complaining, we'll just delete it. Don't hit delete, you know? Read them sometime. I don't say you got to do it every week, every month, but read them sometime. See what people have to say to you. Quit spending the money that you don't need to spend. Spend it on the things that are needed. That's all we're asking. And take my other 15 seconds for yourself.
Any more comments from the public? Any more comments? Move on to number 8, item 8, the consent agenda. Clerk Berry?
All items under the consent agenda are considered routine by the board and will be enacted in one motion. There is no separate discussion of these items. If discussion of any item is required by a board member, it will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. A, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of August 26th, 2025. B, approval of the payment of bills as submitted by the Finance Department. And C, approval of payroll for week ending August 27th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the addition of the supplemental bill run for the DTE bill that was provided to board members prior to the meeting.
Motion by Clerk Berry. Is there any support? Support. Trustee Vosberg. Discussion? I have a motion by Clerk Berry, supported by Trustee Vosberg, to approve the consent agenda as read with the addition. Would you please vote? Results will appear on the screen once all votes are cast. Motion passes. We'll move on to item 9. Public hearing. There is a 3-minute time limit for the public hearing. Clerk Berry.
Item 9 is to conduct a public hearing on September 9th, 2025 to review the special assessment roll and to hear any objections thereto for the proposed Forton Road Paving Improvement Special Assessment District.
Is there a motion to approve the public hearing, open a public hearing?
Motion to open the public hearing.
Motion by Clerk Berry, supported by Trustee Joseph. Clerk Berry, call the roll.
Yep.
Roll call.
Roll call. Clerk Berry, aye. Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Vosberg.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Good evening. This is the public hearing for the Forton Paving SAD. It is worth noting that the estimate was less than the actual as-bid received, so the total project cost has increased since the estimate and the petition was originally circulated. We did have 2 recent projects that were done actually by the same contractor that's a low bidder on this one, the Salt River SAD and the Edgewater Paving SAD, which were similar to this project. We have done a post-bid analysis on the things we've missed. On those 2 projects, we were able to crush and shape the existing pavement and cap over it without bringing in any material. On Forton, we actually had to bring material in, which added to the cost, which we didn't include in the estimate. And another smaller factor was Edgewater and Salt River were just straight shots. The road, it was basically a simple pour there and back. With Forton, there's a couple, stubs off the street. There's more turns, there's more radius, so you can't get the production in. We have met with the petitioner since the bids were received. I see him here, so we're available to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. This is the time for the public to comment on this project, so the public is more than welcome to approach the podium and speak their thoughts and mine.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all. It's been a minute. I'm Don J.R. Coddington. I live on Forton Road, and our road's a disaster. I just wanted to say thanks to everybody in the board involved, the assessing department, the public works department, for helping us try to put this SAD together, because our road is a mess, and we appreciate all the efforts that you guys are helping us with to get this done. Thank you.
Good to see you, Don. Thanks for coming.
No. Any other comments from the public? You're free to speak.
Something? Okay. I'm Shelley Shaner, and we keep saying Forton Road. Are we also paving Cooper and Walburn?
Yes.
I see nothing on the project.
There is a map that would be very helpful if we placed on the screen here.
And are we going to put, okay. Okay. And are we going to put speed limits on for these guys that run up and down Walburn and Cooper like at 80 miles an hour?
Well, we got a few of those there.
Are we going to have speed limits on those, or is there going to be a speed limit on the road?
Yeah, just so you know, that is a private road, so
Right, I know.
that's not the township and that's not the county's jurisdiction. So, your speed limits, their signage and everything is gonna have to be taken care of by you.
So it's not
Your homeowner
included in the,
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
It's just speed. Hold up.
okay. And I have one other question. I own a vacant piece of property that actually has a Jefferson address, but it butts up to Cooper, and they say they're going to assess me on that piece of property the same as everybody else. Does that mean that if I build on that, I can use that as to access that property and put a drive off of Cooper rather than use Jefferson?
Yeah, you're being assessed, absolutely.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, if you wanna, we'll address your speed bump issues. Just come up here, just.
I can't walk that well.
Okay.
I just want to know, can we have speed bumps?
I don't believe you can. I'll check with the fire department. That is not allowed in private streets. Obviously, for emergency vehicles, that presents a problem. But I can't give you a solid answer on that. I'd have to defer to the fire inspectors and the fire chief on that. Any further comments from the public? Any more comments from the public? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion by Clerk Berry. Is there any support? Support. Trustee Vosberg. Public hearing is closed at 7:46. Clerk Berry, please call the roll.
Clerk Berry, aye. Trustee Vosberg. Aye. Trustee Anderson. Aye. Trustee Joseph. To close the public hearing.
To close the public hearing.
Green, am I good? Red?
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, got it. Okay. Aye. So.
Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Treasurer Elliott. Aye. Supervisor Kersten.
Aye. Item 10, the regular agenda. Item 10A, Clerk Berry.
Item 10A is to adopt Resolution 2025-20, number 3A, for the installation of road paving improvements Special Assessment District, SAD, for Forton Road, which confirms the sufficiency of the petitions and approves the estimated costs to proceed with the Special Assessment District.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Joseph. Is there any support?
Support.
Trustee Vosberg. Discussion? Seeing no discussion. I have a motion by Trustee Joseph, supported by Trustee Vosberg. Would you please vote? And the motion passes unanimously. Item 10B, Clerk Berry.
Item 10B is to approve a recommendation to award the Forton Road Paving SAD to the lowest responsible bidder, Peak Asphalt, Inc., in the amount of $289,777.20, and to approve the total project cost in the amount of $338,459.77, and to approve a budget amendment of $63,459.77.
Is there a motion to approve?
Support.
Trustee Hornberger, supported by Trustee Joseph. Mr. O'Connor.
Good evening. Again, the Forton Road paving project. Peak is the low tabbed bidder. They're the same contractor that did Salt River and Edgewater. So they're familiar with the township and they've done good jobs on the other projects.
Questions from the board? I have a motion by trustee Hornberger, supported by trustee Joseph, to approve item 10B. Would you please vote? The motion passes unanimously. Item 10C, Clerk Berry.
Item 10C is to approve a recommendation by Public Services to award the construction of the Peggy Lane and Seaton Drive main replacement RFP 2025 DPS 105 to the lowest responsible bidder, FDM Contracting LLC, for the bid amount of $2,846,137, with a total project cost of $3,368,441.60.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Joseph. Is there any support? Is there any support?
I'll support it.
Trustee Vosberg. Mr. O'Connor.
Good evening again. This is the Peggy Lane and Seaton Drive water main replacement. It's been on the CIP, I think, since 2022. It didn't get built for a couple of years. We couldn't get pipe. It was bid and awarded, or bid and recommended, but there are some great questions about the financing of this project.
Thank you, sir. Discussion from the board. Trustee Joseph.
Can you elaborate on the debate regarding financing? I'm not clear.
Yeah, well, we've awarded the Jefferson project, which is about, then again, I'm going to call it roughly $3 million. This one's roughly $3 million. It's my understanding the cash account balance is about $10 million in the enterprise fund. Just.
That's, you got 13 million.
Oh, 13 million.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Just
Okay.
as we talked about last meeting, but that was, the 10 million was what was in investments, and then there's 3 million in the regular,
Okay.
your checking account.
So, again, this is my understanding. If we had 13 million, we spent 3 million on Jefferson, we spent 3 million on Peggy Lane, we're down to 7 million.
Any, wait, trustee Hornberg?
Sorry. Can you maybe enlighten us about future projects, what we might be looking at?
Yeah, the next project that was approved by the board for design was, I always say Calens, yeah, Sutton Road water main replacement, which was approved maybe a couple months ago. So this project and Jefferson were approved for the design probably back in 2021 or 2022. And they kind of sat in the till or in the hopper for a while. We designed, bid and award Jefferson probably a couple months ago. This job was always right behind it, Peggy Lane. So this has been, permitted and bid, and this is a recommendation for the award. And then Sutton Road is in design right now. The permitting and design and bidding takes about a year. So that would probably be back in front of the board for award, like in June or July of next year.
Do we have a guesstimate on?
Yeah, I would say between 2 and 3 million.
Okay.
It's of the 3 jobs, it is the simplest job, Sutton Road. We're digging in the green belt. It's not as intense as far as the houses and the utilities in the way.
But Mr. Supervisor, if I'm not mistaken, we're also looking at increases from Great Lakes, correct? Water Authority?
For next year, from what I'm being told, we're looking at a 5 to 7% increase. Again, next year in water rates and through the mid. Just for everybody's knowledge, I shared this with a couple of trustees. We got our GLWA bill last quarter. We were $45,000 in the red. Estimated quarterly increase, we're going to be $137,199. behind out of the enterprise fund, and our yearly estimate right now is a little under $500,000, 550,000. So we, without a rate increase, even at a pass-through that was not carried through, that we were already behind on in July, discussions already beginning at JLWA for next year's, which again, preliminary discussions, 5 to 7% increase.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. I was talking to people at the county,
So
somewhere in the neighborhood of 6-7% increase for next year on top of that.
Yeah, and again, they announce, they start talking after the first of the year, they announce in July, which presents a problem for us because we try and budget. We have not done that in the past where the rate increases, but the goal this year will be to begin to at least project what those increased costs may be. And again, all preliminary, we're at the whim of GLWA and however they charge us. So the concern I think that you have is, should we be spending money, as one of the residents pointed out, if we don't have the funds? We're in that position right now. Trustee Joseph?
Thank you. Just to clarify, this project was identified as a, I don't know, back when we were coding them level 4s, level 5s. This was a critical infrastructure repair. Go ahead, sorry.
The level 4s and 5s, I believe, are the sidewalk.
No. I'm maybe mixing my terms, but we had assessments from our water, going back to our Water and Sewer Rate Advisory Board way back. This project was identified better part of a decade ago as a disaster waiting to happen, that we had a critical infrastructure problem. We got serious about it pre-COVID. We ran into construction problems, and the acquisition of the materials was a barrier. This has been around for as long as I've been on the board. The capital improvement plan that was identified way back when, I can't imagine anything gets better with age, and so I'm assuming that the capital improvement plan that was highlighted, and again, you could be right, category 4s and 5s, but this was the equivalent of a sidewalk at a level 5 or a level 4. And the comment that was originally made about depreciation and the idea that our bill was crafted in such a way to recognize the need to replace infrastructure at its end of life, whether you agree with or disagree with, depreciation is not cash and so forth, we know that the enterprise fund is accumulating dollars, 7 figures, 8 figures, with the intent of replacing capital improvement before we have to do it on an emergency basis. At $3 million with a planned project that's bid and engineered, I don't know what the percentage increase is if you start from a catastrophe. Like in an emergency, we have a substantial break and we got to do it, on the fly. I don't know what those numbers look like. Is it double? Is it 50% more? But it's not the way that we should be operating when we identify a capital improvement project. And I understand the concerns about the water rate increases that continue without a reflection in a water bill increase. I understand that perfectly. But the enterprise fund continues to be an enigma in the sense that we don't have any clear parameters on what that money is sitting there for. Well, if not for critical infrastructure improvements, because The cost of repairing this in an emergency, it has been traditionally the way we operate. And these projects, the Jefferson Road project and this particular project, are exactly what I think residents say, well, you know, a piece of pipe that has a 50-year life expectancy and we're on, you know, year 75 or whatever, time to replace before those who are impacted the most are going to be suffering. And we know it, and we've known it for a better part of a decade. I would like to clarify my motion in that I was under the assumption that this fund was strictly an enterprise fund expenditure, but when you indicated there's some ambivalence and I look at the agenda item, we don't have clear clarification that this is an enterprise fund transaction, and I would, Trustee Vosberg, are you of a different opinion? I'm sorry.
I'm just waiting to speak.
Oh, got it. Okay, sorry. I would like to modify my motion to include that the funding for this project is an enterprise fund with whatever the applicable account number is, if that's acceptable to you.
Yes, this is an enterprise fund expenditure.
Thank you.
Trustee Vosberg.
Thank you. I was assuming it was an enterprise expenditure. This has been, we've been talking about this. It's already been described how long we've been talking about it. It finally got moved from capital improvement to our budget, and to the point where we've received bids and everything. I'm just wondering, so I support this, I approve it, I think that's why we have reserves it's to pay for that, and it sounds like even if we had to pay, if we didn't collect enough money in our water rates, we still have money in the fund to pay for that. If we don't, for reasons already described, we need to be on top of this. We need to be repairing before it tells us how to repair it. So, well, we're in control of the repair. I'm just wondering how this got on the agenda, if there was concerns about how it would be paid for, or what it would do to the fund balance.
No, this in our presentation discussion, this is an enterprise expenditure solely. So if that's your question.
My question is, how did it get on the agenda if there was concern that we wouldn't be able to pay for it?
So this has been on the agenda. This has been a capital project that has been put forward, and much to what Trustee Joseph has said. When I first took over as supervisor, this was on their capital list, and it paused, and it's been there ever since.
I'm talking about the timing of it.
The timing. So this project was in line with Sutton Road, was in line with Jefferson, and this was the next one up. And rather than pull it, it had already been in the agenda. Mitch wanted to proceed with it. He thinks that there's value there. And I'm not saying that I'm supportive of it too. I want it done. This is second oldest pipe in the township.
It's not the second oldest, but it breaks a lot.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
It's off the depreciation list years ago.
Its useful
gone.
life is over, yeah.
So, and if I remember right, and we probably should have put it up, the slide for the most frequent breaks, this tops the list.
Yes. Yeah, we had that at a couple
The heat
meetings
map.
ago. Yeah, yes.
So to pull it from and to put it on was, I have concerns, but to pull it from the agenda again, I think there needs to be a discussion, and that's why it's on there, and Mitch wanted to proceed with it when I spoke with him. We do have a funding issue, and I'll go back, Trustee Joseph, to your question. I'm using HRC model. Mr. Burton, when he was here last time, said about 10.5 million would be a good number, a balance to have in the enterprise fund, and that's kind of the foothold, the space that I'd like to maintain. So, Trustee Anderson.
Yeah, Mitch, I just wonder how many, I know you don't have the number, but there's been multiple failures of that water line on Peggy Lane, correct? Because it seems like I'm on speed dial with some of the residents there, correct?
It's north of 20 breaks. I probably 25 to 30 breaks. And the breaks are usually near a driveway or near the pavement, so they are more expensive to repair.
Any further questions? Treasurer Elliott?
Mitch, can you go over the projects that have already been approved that are in, you kind of said through, you said them a little bit fast.
Yeah, the ones that have been to the board, approved for design was Jefferson. It was designed, bid, and awarded, so that one's Jefferson. That's been approved for construction.
And that one's 3 million?
That's about 3 million.
Are they all about 3 million?
I think Sutton will be less than 3 million.
Okay.
Of course, like, you know, I could be wrong. The design was approved for Peggy Lane. The bidding documents, you know, the permit's been permitted, so that's what this item is. Sutton, the design is in process, so that's, you know, being permitted through the agencies, so it'll probably be bids received next spring, and we'll probably be in front of the board for recommendation of award, you know, early summer. Those 3 projects.
Okay, thank you.
And again, the direction, Trustee Vosberg, that Mitch and I have had is we'd like to put 2 or 3 projects on in a budget year, pulling them from the capital list that's been published. So, again, that's why it's on there tonight. So, Trustee Rumberg?
While I support all of this, I guess my concern is if we're not raising water rates, which no one wants to do, where's the money going to come to backfill the money that we're using from the enterprise fund? Especially if we end up having to come up with $500,000 this year, next year, however long, in order to pay our rate increases to Great Lakes.
So as Mr. Burton spoke, right now we're surviving basically on growth. And should growth stop, then yes, we will have a serious conversation about halting projects and not going back to not making improvements, for lack of a better explanation. Clerk Berry?
I don't know if this is a question for Mitch or a question for Treasurer Elliott, but so 3 million is in the checking account essentially, and then we have 10 million in investments, which means we're going to have to cash out some of those investments potentially, or are we just going to drain the checking and backfill that? And then my kind of follow-up question to that is, how much interest are we going to be losing on the money that's going to be taken out of the investments, even if we got a kind of ballpark idea on what that's going to cost us and if that's going to hit our revenue for 2025 or 2026?
Just to unpack that a little bit. So we have, as you remember, at the beginning of my presentation today was those funds are in pretty much overnight kinds of investments, so there's no penalty for cashing out because anticipating these types of projects. We've been doing that for quite a while, and we've had a lot of conversations with Water and Sewer about their cash flow and projecting the cash flow going forward. So when is the Sutton project? When are you looking to do that?
Sutton would probably be bid in the spring, awarded in the summer, and then construction probably similar to these jobs, October, November of 26.
And so then, so we're currently, the water and sewer rates are just paying where we're at now. You don't foresee any of that, building any of this fund back up, the current fund that you know of? You're not sure?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is that something that, Mr. Supervisor, that you discussed with HRC by any chance, or has Hassan done any projections as far as that goes?
His entire presentation that he gave a month and a half ago was projections on what the revenue was, and then he formed a baseline of what we're collecting now, and we were simply, as I stated previously, we're maintaining our operation based on growth. The fund balance at I think in 2024, I think the fund balance took a positive $30,000 in. I'd have to check that, but we were barely breaking even. We are not now with GLWA submitting their first quarter bill. The enterprise fund is covering $45,000 of that deficiency, and without improvements, it's projected in a year of $500,000 and more. Any further discussion? I have a motion by trustee Joseph, supported by trustee Vosberg, to approve item 10C. If you would please vote. The results will appear on the screen once all voting is cast. Motion is passed 6-1. Next item, item 10D.
Item 10D is to approve a recommendation to award Brandenburg Gate Controls Project to International Controls and Equipment in an amount not to exceed $50,226.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Trustee Joseph, is there any support? Supervisor Kersten. Stephanie?
Good evening. Just to give you a little background on this item that's in front of you today, in February we went out to request for proposals for gate arms and kiosks. The kiosk would allow for payment at the gate year-round by different methods, and the arms would obviously allow vehicle control. The arms would help enforce ordinance hours from dawn to dusk and also safety. We have vandalism in some of our parks, but on top of vandalism, we have a lot of garbage from the time that the park staff leaves in the evening and then we return in the morning. There's a lot of cleanup that has to be done in those parks. So we look at that as vandalism too, just being disrespectful in the parks. When the RFP came back, we got 3 bidders, and for the complete package of arms and kiosks, the bids ranged from about $118,000 to $149,000. After discussions, it was decided to maybe go more of the route of the arms only at this time, and we went out to the 3 bidders and asked them to resubmit their bids with only the arms. We had 2 of the 3 bidders come back and submit their proposals, and their breakdown will be in your presentation here. This is a picture of what we propose. Obviously, you can see the entrance off of Jefferson. There will be 2 arms. There will be 2 entry lanes into the park to help the flow into the park, and then 2 exit lanes. And those exit lanes will be controlled. You can't get stuck in the park. So if you're in the park after hours and those gates are down, you will be able to exit the park. This is obviously a picture of our new toll booth there. And I wanted to point out some features of these arms. As you see, the arms would be in lanes 1 and 2. The arms can be programmed to open up automatically. So we could set those year-round to open and close at certain times without the need of staff being on site. We can also control those arms by devices in our township vehicles. We can purchase those separately, and that way our vehicles can get in and out. And there's also a button inside the booth. So when that booth is manned, the operator can open and close those gates. This is a picture of what the arms would look like. They're breakaway arms, so if for any reason, an arm broke and had to be replaced, it's not detrimental to the whole unit. Those arms to replace are about $560. This is the bid breakdown, so you can see the 2 companies that did resubmit their bids. We tried. This was also in your package, so I'm sorry it's so small on your board screen here. But we tried comparing apples to apples on the products that they were proposing. And ultimately, the committee looked at both of these and chose the International Controls and Equipment. Their all-in price is $45,660, and we added a 10% contingency onto our request for any unforeseen items. Any questions?
Thank you. Questions, comments from the board? Comments from trustee Vosberg.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I support this concept because we've been talking about this for a while, and we're also looking at ways to improve. I thought the discussion was also in looking for ways to improve collections and entry into the park and not having to have staff to do that. So staff could be doing other things in the park. And I'm curious why the decision was made to not have the payment option with it, just strictly to open and close the park.
We were looking, well, we were looking as a group at both items. And when it came to the kiosk, there was a lot of discussion on the costs coming into the park, when it would be charged, and a lot of other conversations. So we decided to go the route of the arms first, because with this, either one of these bidders, we could always add the kiosk later. We felt that the kiosk needed a little bit more discussion and an investigation into what actual kiosk we were going to use and in what manner we were going to use it. You can use it with cash and or credit cards, how those credit cards flow into our system. There's just a lot more with the software and those kiosks, and a lot of other decisions to go into that. So we decided to propose the arms first and add the kiosks in later.
To me, there's also policy that probably the board needs to approve, because right now, it's my understanding it closes after Labor Day, and most of the reason is because we don't have as many visitors to the park, plus we don't have to staff it. Is that a correct assumption?
My understanding of the park rules is that the park is open from dawn to dusk, and the hours that we operate, like opening the restrooms and have staff on site, would be from Memorial Day to Labor Day, but the park never officially closes its doors to vehicle traffic or foot traffic.
Correct, but we don't typically collect entry fees.
Correct.
After the holiday,
between the
after
two.
Labor Day and before Memorial Day.
Correct.
During that period, we don't. Okay. I guess I'd like to see a broader discussion of it before we make a decision on it, is what my thought is, because maybe we want, if we're going to put it in, just do it all. And whatever this board might decide all would be. But
okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Trustee Anderson.
Ms. Shiano, you've done a great job here. I read the entire agenda. In all honesty, you put it together, a lot of research. And however, I have some comments here. Both ends of the park have not been secured for years. There's a path that runs through it. Anybody can go in there, or any small-wheeled vehicle can go in and out of the park 24 hours a day, and they can continue to do so. According to the packet here, the gate will be locked down during the hours of the park's closure. If there are any serious situations arise, emergency responders can unlock the Knox box. That's a box that has a key to the gate. They can unlock it, unlock the gate, take care of the emergency. I'm just wondering who all is going to have these keys? The emergency responders, Chesterfield Township Police and Fire, Michigan State Police, MedStar, any other unit emergency responder. You know, I just feel that we've had crisis in that park.
Mm-hmm.
Accessing to the site of a crisis should be instantaneous, not fumbling keys, trying to get in that park. And to me, it's creating an aesthetically appearing barricade. This could create a negative encumbrance in case of an emergency. I also see Chesterfield becoming a regular visitor to TikTok when our juveniles find out these barriers are so easy to snap. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Any further questions? Just to chime in here. The conversation about what the charges are and what the kiosk should look like, yes, that is the next level. Right now, we are just adding security, gate, and accessibility. We need to control as a community who comes and goes from that park. And as was stated, after hours, it is open. We don't have the actual number of visitors to that park. This would add a level to that. And I will tell you then, moving from that, the next discussion is what type of kiosk, what the rate should be. Should a resident be exempt? Should non-resident charge? Should we charge that? This is just the first step in monitoring that park. Now, the park is an overwhelming success, and the goal should be, in my direction, is that park should be open 365, 24/7. To residents, mainly. Yes, year-round. And the reason is we have a hall, we have wintertime sportsmen, we have ice fishermen, we have snowmobilers, and all of that accessibility is unaccounted for in the wintertime. So again, this is just the first step, adding some control over when and how we manage the township property. And then we can move on from, to your point, fees and charges has to come back in front of the board. Treasurer Elliott.
Thank you. So I have big concerns, as we've discussed, Stephanie, about the kiosk option and how that will play into all of this. And we have a concern here because we're going to do this phase 1, but new technology can happen, things can change. By the time you get to phase 2, and then now you're taking and you're spending $50,000 to do this, and then you have to turn around and spend, you know, maybe $120,000 or $140,000 to redo it all because it doesn't work with our, you know, whatever payment system that we have. It has in the committee persons that in leading up to this, have you included anybody from Treasury? I know that I had an initial conversation, but I think there's a lot of conversations that have happened without my staff since then.
I believe your staff was included in those initial conversations, and there weren't many conversations after that. We did investigate both bidders and are very much assured that these arms would work with any kiosk because the kiosk is the payment type, and as soon as that system knows that payment has been captured, then it just triggers those arms to open. So it's just a communication device, and these arms are in many, many locations. So hopefully that answers your question.
The payment piece is the simplest piece out of all of this. So, any further discussion, Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, I supported this primarily because it is a incremental approach, which I was under the impression that, you know, board members appreciated that. That gave you the first piece being the universal piece with the arms, and then depending on board policy and board decisions with regard to residents being exempt from payments, non-residents having to pay. The issue that Trustee Anderson raised, I agree with his concerns regarding emergency vehicles. Typically, we're talking about a situation where if there were no vehicles that had a capability of remotely, you know, raising the gates, the gate is raised by entry into the building. I don't know what we call that, but the building itself has a hardwired entry point. And I would imagine that any first responder, any staff opens that gate, and we wouldn't need to have separate remotes for, you know, MedStar and fire and police and so forth. This would be an emergency that would be called in after hours, assuming that the gates are down. Mm-hmm. And it does not prevent all access points, as Trustee Anderson said. But the obvious and most, you know, accessible place is the two-lane entry point into the park, and that's a start. Mm-hmm. I feel that we could add the components necessary to kind of complete the process as we make policy decisions and as we make determinations on rates and so forth. The last, no, that's okay. We got a lot of signage and a lot of antics going on, so, yeah.
There's an app that the public safety departments would have, the employees would have, they open the gate.
So this wouldn't require, and Trustee Anderson's point is well made, we don't have to use the box method with the electronic, capabilities.
And Josh just brings up a good point. We do have controls where we can open.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We can open and close it remotely, so that is something that maybe we can work with dispatch. When they know there's an emergency, they can open up that gate if that toll booth is not manned at the time. We can work through something like that. And also securing the entry points, like you mentioned, maybe coming off of Altman or by Miller Court. We can secure those from vehicle traffic, with bollards and other items like that that really help control the vehicles.
Yeah, I do agree, Trustee Anderson, and I would like to see the ability to access the park through sort of some of the other more porous entry points, because you do have the capability of getting, a four-wheel vehicle and things fairly easily from, a multitude of access points. The incremental approach I do appreciate, and this seems to be the first piece in what could be, others depending on policies and rates and so forth. So, and I also appreciate the attention to detail when it came to the bid packages and the request for a review of bids after, the plan had shifted a bit. And so a lot of work done, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Vosberg.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So when I said that I prefer to wait, I was thinking that there's some kind of mechanical connection to the kiosk, but you're saying there's no physical mechanical connection to the kiosk. For that kiosk to work, it just sends a signal.
I believe so. I can't say what everybody's method was for the kiosk to talk to the control unit that's in the toll booth, but we do have underground prepped for the kiosk. We put conduit in when we poured the cement for the toll booth, thinking ahead. So it should be. I could show you the packages that the full bid that shows like how even the bidder that we're recommending, how the kiosk that they would propose kind of connects with that, and we can look at that connection.
Was assuming was we could take 3 years to make some decisions.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden that device doesn't work with the control, whatever kiosk control
Correct.
Would be. And you're saying that should not be the case?
These are very standard, very standard, sorry, I'm going through everything. Very standard arms. You have your control on the arm, the 14-foot arm comes up and down, so adding in those kiosks, just like in many entry points where you have to push for a ticket or you pay at a kiosk, that's very standard. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Treasurer Elliott.
Just for clarity purposes, the hours are currently dusk to dawn, but a lot of people go there after hours, and they go there to fish and some of the things that the supervisor had mentioned. And what is the big policy and vision? How is this falling into that bigger policy and vision to have, I think Michelle's coming up behind you to answer that. What is the big policy or vision of the supervisor or Parks and Rec for use of that? And how would this affect that bigger picture? For the hours that it's being used, like for the night fishing and things like that.
Last year, when the Parks and Recreation Ordinance came back to the board for approval, that cemented that dawn till dusk hours. That's for any park use that we have, any recreational space within Chesterfield Township. That plans to stay standard. There is not use after those hours that is needed in a public park. So to have these arms be created and have a space to close it, that's only preventing that time during the hours that we don't want people in the park, because what we're seeing is damage, vandalism, items that are not needed. This doesn't mean that it doesn't open at 5 a.m. as soon as the sun hits and everyone's out to go fishing. So that part won't change at all. we are able to change the hours of the season of the park at any time. Staffing is a huge reason why we have it the way it is. Also, use of the park is Memorial Day through Labor Day. That's been our standard. It's been like that for several years, decades even. But that can be adjusted at any time. That's something that we publish each year with our rentals as well. We've noticed that there's been a higher need for wanting to rent the spaces, and so we've extended that into the fall season, knowing that we had staff available. But extending into the fall season, we're going till November now, Saturdays in November for rental, and those are available. So we're slowly building. The idea is that we make it the most accessible park as possible. These gates are not limiting accessibility by any means, but it's just enhancing what we can do while saving the assets that we've created there.
Thank you. Any further questions? Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to go back, Trustee Vosberg, I wanted to chime in, but wanted to wait my turn. The conversations that I've had, and I'm no expert, but the feedback that I was able to provide and some of the dialogue I had on the Parks and Rec Commission, the ideas about charging residents, non-residents, the kiosk, the ability to control. This was the first sort of and biggest pivotal piece of that entire equation, and probably the most low-tech. There is not a risk of like computer equipment that becomes outdated in a few years. This has a very simplistic mechanism to tie into to operate the switch, and that can be with the infrastructure that was put in and the foresight that was had with the I want to say it's a shed, but it's so much more than a shed, but the gatehouse, if you will. The gatehouse went in knowing that we were uncertain as to where we were going to go with policies and hours and so forth. And so the infrastructure was kind of baked in with the conduit and the ability to wire into this anything that should impact the treasurer's office once there's board policy enacted can be added to this system. And when I had the opportunity to offer my 2 cents was do it incrementally. Don't bring to the board a massive package with all things that could be obsolete should the board decide to adopt a different policy. That we didn't want to be in possession of equipment that we didn't have policies for. This was seen as the first and best step to the overall, and then keeping in step with the board's decision as it relates to policies, and we can add on. There was nothing in this arm that precluded us from future directions, whichever way we want it to go. And so the job that was done on the gatehouse was inclusive of these components being added to incrementally. If it takes a few years, there's nothing technology driven that will be obsolete when we arrive at that place. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board? Further questions? I have a motion by Trustee Joseph, supported by Supervisor Kersten, to approve item 10D. Would you please cast your vote? Display will occur when the vote passes. It passes 4-3. Thank you very much. Item 10E.
Item 10E is to approve the election department's recommendation authorizing Clerk Berry to enter into a grant agreement between Chesterfield Township and the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks to receive $10,000 in funding for the installation of automatic door operators at the Chesterfield Township Community Center as outlined in the agreement to promote ADA accessibility. Furthermore, approve the retention of Great Lakes Security Hardware to install 2 commercial door operators at a total cost not to exceed $10,000.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Clerk Berry. Is there any support? Trustee Anderson? Mason?
Good evening again. Apologies for that. The microphone's getting better of me tonight. This grant opportunity was brought to us by the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks. They are a grant administrator. Money was allocated by the state legislature last year, finally made its way to the local unit. This money will be supplied before the project commences, so there's no cost to the township on this. It's nice to give a little bit to the voters here in terms of the early voting site. We had good turnout. We did get a complaint that the doors are a little heavy. It is older, so it'd be nice to have those operators. And again, that kind of helps us on the ADA front as well. The Department of Justice gives us a checklist every year to run through to make sure slopes, inclines, doors are less than 3 pounds to open. And this was one of the things that we scored quite low on. Myself and Carrie Whitfield went over there and did an assessment earlier this summer. Again, looking at things that we could have possibly procured, such as ramps to get over the bus lane there, because that curb is higher than standard. But this scored the highest, so this is what we're requesting. I do want to bring note to the board and transparency sake. The quote that we received from Great Lakes here, it was good for 60 days. That quote did elapse on Thursday. I've spoken with them. They're going to honor it, assuming we move forward with it. But again, I want that on the record so that we know. Also, we had forecasted $3,000 in electrical work. F&O is going to complete the electrical of it. So the door cost is going to be the $8,000 figure plus the supplies for F&O. Any questions?
Questions from the board? Trustee Joseph?
Just a quick comment. The doors that are going in for election purposes are also very, very welcomed by our seniors. And I wasn't shy about sharing, and Supervisor Kersten, during one of our recent meetings, a request came about for automatic doors. I think the communication that Clerk Berry was talking about earlier allowed Supervisor Kersten to say, hey, let's not rush to spend general fund money or senior money for these doors, because the elections department is working and the clerk is working on a grant. And happy to report that these doors perform double duty for our seniors who were really struggling, with the current setup. And this is a great add, not only for the elections department, but the traction and the traffic that building gets from seniors who some struggle, and they won't have to. So this was a good get and a good opportunity for us to improve the lives of not just the voters, but our seniors as well. So nice work.
Any further comments? Any further comments? I have a motion by Clerk Berry, supported by Trustee Anderson, to approve item 10E. Please vote. The results will appear on the screen once all votes are cast. Motion passes 7-0. Next item, item 11, addendums. There are none. Item 12, public comments. There is a 3-minute time limit. Again, public comments.
Do I have to do it? Okay. I could barely contain myself sitting back there with your spending. Trustee Hornberger sits there and wonders where the money's going to come from to pay for a sewer line, but yet spends $50,000 on a gate arm to keep. I don't really care. It's my money. It's my money. It's my money. It's all my money. So I don't really care where it's coming from. Yeah, I get it, but it's my money too. So thanks for wasting my time. I'd like to get that time back, please. I would like to reclaim my time. It just baffles my brain. $600 on a lure. I know, for what? You got a sewer line, that's near collapse. You said how bad it is and how long it's been bad. Why'd we build that $1 million sewer line out there? We're sitting in a multi-million-dollar renovated building. We can't even get the audio and visual to work yet. And yet you're going to get technology to work on an arm to let people in and out, and hopefully emergency vehicles to get in and out? I mean, it's a joke. You're a joke. The whole thing is a joke. F&O, they spend money out of all of our departments, and I will be still contacting the Treasury, Michigan Department of Treasury, letting them know that they're spending money out there. That's right, I already got it, thanks. So dog park, $125,000 in the capital improvement plan, $125,000 for a dog park for next year, $250,000 in the capital improvement plan for a pole barn at Brandenburg. But you're worried about a sewer line and where the money's going to come from. Stop spending the money. Stop spending the money. That's all you got to do. I don't know what your agenda is, but it isn't to protect the residents. It isn't to serve the residents. You don't serve anybody but yourself. And I don't know, you seem to have a few of these people in your pocket. Yeah, I know, yeah, whatever. Let's see. Oh, the remodel of this building was because people were hot and cold. Now you're going to keep people out of the park. I mean, your reasons for spending money are absolutely ridiculous. Let's see what else I got in here. Oh, finance director, and yeah, the FOIA expenses have gone up because I do spend money. I will spend money if I have to get information because I want to know what happened to Victoria Bauer. Was she fired? Did she quit? I don't know. I think it's a valid question for the residents. You know, you've assured us over and over and over again how financially sound we are, but now there's questions about where the money's going to come from to fix the sewer line. Well, it seemed like there was a little debate, so there's some concern coming from this end of the board down here. Oh, if you're going to put a gate up at Brandenburg, are we going to put one at every other park? Connie Bowles, Pollard, Weber, the Veterans Park pathway? And how about this? The Vets Park on Sugarbush already had vandalism. So you're going to put a gate up there to keep people out? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Do you guys understand how ridiculous you sound when you vote on this stuff? And apparently Chesterfield is so fancy pants, you don't have to audibly vote anymore. You can just push a little button and not really be accountable for what you're saying. I mean, nothing else can be said. Nothing else can be said about that. Have a good night.
John Speaker, Chesterfield Township. I'm in total agreement with Janice Young. Supervisor Kersten, you are a total joke. So I want to thank Karen Garby and her team for making the necessary changes for the correct meeting for the viewers at home. I appreciate that. Thank you, and the viewers and the residents appreciate that. For the viewers at home, I'm going to ask this board to cast your vote verbally because the viewers at home can't see the TV screen. And I think it's a spineless, cowardice way to vote. So you're elected, cast your vote. You should have no problem to verbally cast that vote. So if you want to cast your vote and vote electronically too, that's fine too. But stand up and cast your vote verbally. That's the way it should be done. As far as going back to the last board meeting, Supervisor Kersten, leadership at this township starts at the top. So I blame you for everything. So stop wasting our hard-earned tax monies. We pay property taxes in this township. Janice Young pays property taxes. I'm willing to bet that most of these residents pay property taxes and own a home in this township. You do not own a home in this township. The last I knew, you lived with your girlfriend. You don't even pay a water bill in this township. But yeah, you want to raise everyone's water bill. Not by 10%, not by 20%. You want to double everything in this township. It is ridiculous. Leadership starts at the top. There is no leadership with you. That's why this township and the leadership is in chaos. I blame you. When you led the police department, you bankrupt the police department, and you're on the verge of bankrupting Chesterfield. But hopefully, the residents will vote you out at the next go-around, so you won't have that opportunity, and we'll get a change of leadership, because that's what this township needs. So I put the blame on you, and then I blame the board members that support his lousy agenda and vote. And don't ever have him push or intimidate you in supporting the agenda. So he's very good at trying to intimidate people on this board. I've seen it time after time after time. If you don't vote the way he wants you to vote, then all of a sudden he's going to lecture you like he's your daddy. Please. Thank you.
Joe Kadich. Apparently nobody listened or didn't want to listen to my advice about authorizing the $3 million for the Peggy Lane. One thing I said is find out what we're paying for. How much is in that water bill? If you'd have done that, you'd have found out, basically, that there's about $18 million taken in and about $16 million spent, and $2 or $3 million every year goes somewhere. The guy that you've got sitting over here with HRC even acknowledged that. One time when I met with him out in the hall there, he said he went over the books, and he says, basically, you spend about $16 million on sewer and water. You look at your budget, and you look at the audit, and the audit shows $18 million spent, not $16 million. Now, where in the hell the other $2 or $3 million went, I don't know. And to listen to him say you're running in the red now without even knowing why. If I was a stockholder of a company and somebody said, we're running in the red, you know, somebody should say, why are we doing that? What's wrong? You'd have somebody go in and analyze. You got a financial analyst you hired, probably $100,000 a year. You get anything from him? But you go along with what he wants. There's a reason that we lost our finance manager. We know that. She was made an at-will employee and suffered because she wouldn't go along anymore with what he wanted. Now, you people that are satisfied with that, you want to go along with it, fine. But you're screwing the people in this township. Thank you.
Turn it off and on. You know, it's a shame that for a $3 million expenditure for a water line that we've known for years and it needs to be replaced, we have to have this much dialogue as to whether or not we have enough money funded in the water and sewer department. I've got data from all the Plant Moran audits. We pay a lot of money for the Plant Moran audits. In fact, I personally requested in a request form for the Plant Moran audit for 2024 to be posted. It hasn't been posted, and it's been over 2 months since the presentation. Residents pay good money for it. That's good data. And if you look at the data and you look at the start in 2016 and you look all the way through 2024, this should be $17,563 in the fund balance. And if it's not there, then where did it go? And why did a 26-mile road sewer line get precedence over Peggy Lane water issue that's been on the books since 2014. It just doesn't make any sense. One person is saying we don't have any money, the other person is saying that we need to do this because it's a priority, and somebody else already spent money that won't benefit any of the residents. And there's a $600,000 interest in that's debt that's got to be paid by the residents. You guys just don't make any sense. None whatsoever. You flunk Business 101. And the residents, you want the residents to reach in their pocket and pay more fees, and you want them to pay more millage for Parks and Rec when we spend it. And $50,000 was excessive because I did a lot of research. The best one on the market that you can buy is about $8,000. So I don't know what you guys are doing or who you're trying to fool, but you're not doing the right thing. And if you look at budget time and you budget for needs instead of wants and wishes, you wouldn't have the problem you're talking about. Thank you.
Christopher Pierrick, Chesterfield. First of all, although it passed, agenda item D, the coveted gate. Thank you to the elected officials that voted no, for the ones that voted yes in favor of it. Still don't know where the money's coming for that gate. $50,000 or $45,000 in the red for GLWA. Why don't we just use that magical $50,000 to get us back in the black? So just a thought. Clerk Barry, when you gave your department reports, you mentioned that Shred Day was going to be sponsored by 2 organizations. One was JARS, and you didn't mention the other one. I just wonder if you can share that with us. Thank you.
Yeah, you're a bully. Bullies. Bully threaten people. Bullies tell people, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. Earlier this year, you talked everybody into putting in cameras at Brandenburg Park, Pollard Park, Township office, police department. We got to have cameras because they're being vandalized. You got your cameras. What do we have? We got vandalism. Now, I want gates on the door now. Oh, we're being vandalized. Now even poor seniors are scared to go to Brandenburg Park because of vandalism. You know? Now you got your gates. What else is coming next? Every time you want something and you think that it's not going to pass, you come out with a scare tactic. You want water. You want more water in the water. Right now you got almost $3 million going in to fix the water and sewers. It's in the budget there, in the billing. You want to add another $3 million. You want to have $6 million a year to play with because you spent the other. We all know that. You guys never came out and admitted it, but Joseph has talked about, yes, possibly some things, you know. That's why Vicki had to leave. She wouldn't do your bidding anymore. You've been moving money around. Anytime you want to do something that's over $5,000, you split it up from different departments. We can see that. You know? You're a bully. And we're going to keep coming here, and we're going to keep coming after you because you're a bully, and that's the way you fight a bully. You don't shut up. You keep talking. You know, say what you want. You know, possibly, 3 against 4? That's always the way it's been. Well, guess what? It's never been that way. You keep having people come in here and talk to you, tell you things. People that have knowledge. No, you don't want to listen. You don't want to listen because it's not what you want. If it's not what you want, you don't want to hear it. I'm sorry to say, but this board is a pitiful board. Pitiful. I don't know how you can stand to look at yourselves in the mirror. None of you know what's on the bill run. Guarantee you that. You can't tell me what's on the bill run. I looked at the bill run. I came down to the Township.
All right, so when I was looking at all this, just as an observer tonight, kind of came under the assumption here that one of our big problems in all of the spending going on, not just tonight, but as past several years, I should say, is the notion of perception. Now, I'd love to go into a long lecture here. You know, as a history teacher, I would love to give you guys all the information in the world on government spending and the history behind it. But since we only have 2.5 minutes left, one of the things I want to stress to you is the importance of perception, because in today's society, perception is everything. Perception is You have been spending millions upon millions of dollars. Most of that is based on future growth. Growth is not infinite. Therefore, when you have to deal with external factors like economic slowdowns, issues regarding higher levels of government, any aspects of things that we, like look at what we had to deal with in 2022 regarding inflation, and now you have to deal with things like interest rates. Now you have to deal with things like any type of decline in what growth could happen. It could be an economic slowdown. It could be a rise in joblessness numbers. People could lose their houses. Look at what happened in 2008. It's not that far in the past, and that could happen again in the not too distant future. When you're taking on a bunch of debt, the important thing is this is debt based on investment for the future that's going to be building into the trust of the community and betterment for all of the public, or is it just simply spending that you find popular in the moment and you're not going to fully address in the future? There's a great line in, I believe it was the 2015 Republican debates, and it was Mike Huckabee had mentioned that, talking about government spending, he was like, it's like a 400-pound man saying he's going to go on a diet, but first he's going to have a whole rack of Krispy Kreme donuts. And in that mindset, that's kind of what you guys are talking about right now, the notion of, oh, well, we need to start getting serious about what we're spending our money on, but we're going to spend $50,000 on an arm that pretty much everyone didn't want. So that's kind of what you're having to deal with, is the lack of what people would perceive as important in this community. There's a lot of spending going on people didn't want, and yet we're not flush with cash. We're not living high on the hog. This isn't Grosse Pointe. The notion is this: we give you the money to spend on the public trust, not on frivolous items that will come to bite you in the butt later on. Important thing is earn the trust of the people by doing the bidding of the people. That is the key component here, as lost in government at all levels, but it should not be here at the local one.
All right, just a little bit of change in topic tonight. I wanted to show my appreciation to the employees over at Brandenburg who were there early in the morning cleaning the grounds. We met one of the employees' names. His name was Ed, and he was extremely kind to me and my son. We made a mention of the spiders and the messes that were left on the playscapes, and he said he'd climb right up there to clean them out. I appreciate great employees addressing an issue right away and engaging with the community. And separately, I wanted to thank Chesterfield Police while school is back in session. I've noticed the amount of people speeding through school zones, whether it's Middle School South, the community center, who still houses Head Start and still has the flashing school sign, or if it's Naldret Elementary. That curve outside of on Sugarbush, outside of Naldret at 8:30 in the morning, is a hot spot for speeding. And for some reason, I just wanted to give a shout out to the officer last week for lighting somebody up for speeding through a school zone. So thank you guys.
Any further comments from the public? Any further comments? Bring it back up to the board. Board comments. I'll start with Trustee Anderson tonight.
Seems strange talking to Mike instead of pushing a button. September 21st is the autumn equinox. Our next meeting, I think, is the 23rd. See you then. Second day of fall.
Trustee Joseph.
Thanks, Mr. Supervisor. Just wanted to start off. Mr. Locke, when you came up to speak during the public comments in the first, I want to apologize to you. I was shaking my head no as you were talking about Brandenburg Park and the repaving. I shouldn't have done that because it pulled you all away from your topic, but what I was saying no to was the idea that the park needed repaving and that being part of the study. I only know that it wasn't a repaving expenditure and it doesn't require repaving. What I thought the confusion was in the seal coat. The park grounds were repaved in my first term, and there was quite a bit of discussion about the cost. That was, I want to say, $1.2 million expenditure, and the concern that a number of us had in subsequent years is that proper maintenance hadn't occurred and the resealing schedule had been kind of neglected. And the debate and the expenditures that were tied up in the most recent study were about resealing, not the need to repave. So again, you had no way of knowing what I was shaking my head no at, and I shouldn't have done it. I should have just waited until the end. But that was the reason for my head shaking. The rest of your comments from there and in the post talking about the pitiful and pathetic board and the lack of adherence to emails. I know that you are part of a group and you talk. When I get an email that's addressed to the entire board that is nothing but an attack and it has sort of ordained conclusions with words like garbage and a waste, and then the individual shows up with colorful signs and it attempts to align themselves with the camera in the same way that drunks at the ballpark do to get on TV, and they wave signs, and then they talk about their social media platform. I really wish the best for those, and I hope that their influencer career and all of the antics pay off. It is not respectful in any way to shove your propaganda signs into the lap of township employees who are trying to go to the podium and explain to the board, agenda items. It's antics. It's the word pitiful is one that I would use there. Every 4 years, the board has to answer to the public. Our report card is done at the polling locations. And again, please continue to stay engaged. Run if you think you have better ideas, but respect the will of the voter. The totals for the last election made it very clear when you say things like, and others, everyone knows this and everyone knows that. The real test is every 4 years in November, the entire community gets to come forward. You were on that list. The wannabe influencer was on that list. And what happened was the voters decided to put the individuals that are on the board on the board. You are disrespecting thousands of voters when you talk about their voice in the way that you do. I understand that there's differences of opinion and people want to jump on a $500 expenditure that was used to decorate the park during a national. I understand that. When they encumber, monies for FOIAs and then they use that in their social media campaigns, it's obvious to me what's going on. And I think, judging by the voter turnout and the voter expression in November, it was obvious to them. But again, when you come to the podium, I will try my best to show you the respect that you deserve, and I do apologize for shaking you off on that issue regarding the parking lot. It was really just an issue that I was well aware of because it happened in our first term, and I thought that you were muddling those two issues. So I have a ton of other things that I'd like to comment on and explain my vote. I don't think that it would really matter to those that pose the question because they're really not looking for answers. They're just really looking for a platform to find relevance. The podium of relevance is what we have now, complete with decorative signs. So one additional thing, last thing, the comment about the cowardliness of the visual vote. 2 meetings ago, I thought that that was a welcomed addition because there were complaints about being able to hear, that you couldn't hear and that people at home couldn't hear what the vote total was. I would think that it would be advisable that in capture the visual recording of the vote, that the camera capture the image you kind of got to pan over the new signage that we have in the center aisle, but if you could adjust the cameras to get a capture of the screenshot, you can see very easily the color-coded corresponding vote to each board member. There is our picture, for those at home that didn't see it, there is a picture of each board member, and there is a red or a green overlay to indicate a yes or a no vote with the vote total. So I thought that we were addressing a problem that was pointed out that we couldn't hear, and now we have the ability to see, and picture being worth 1,000 words apparently is not anymore tonight, but if we could get the camera to focus on that, I think it would alleviate a lot of problems. But thank you, Karen, and to the team that's working so hard to try to get this, I think, more transparent mechanism of being able to see the votes. There are some technical challenges. I think we handled them fairly well tonight, and appreciate all the work that was gone into putting this together. Thank you.
Just to reply to your comments real quick, the technical team is watching, they're monitoring, and there will be adjustments made as we move forward. We needed a live meeting to actually see what worked, what the perspective was. So to your point, we'll get better as we move on. Trustee Hornberg.
Thank you, Trustee Joseph, for addressing that. I was going to bring it up as well. And I'm grateful that we've moved to the electronic system, just like our county commissioners vote that way, our state house votes that way, our state senate votes that way, U.S. Congress votes that way, U.S. Senate votes that way. Also, when we were talking about Great Lakes water and rate increases, I'd just like to clarify, never once, I don't think anyone at the table nor myself said that we are in debt or that we are broke. What I was asking was about the funding and addressing obviously necessary projects that we've already agreed need to be done for our community. And then when those projects are done, how our enterprise fund gets replenished as Great Lakes raises our rates. So we're not in debt.
Trustee Vosberg.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to begin with just inviting everyone to come this Saturday, September 13, from 10 to 4 is the Heritage Day in the Historic Village. It's a day for hands-on activities. That's when we bring items out of our collection. You can grind corn, you can make candles. There's a number of, and we have a hit and miss engine that's going to be sawing logs, so you'll be able to stop by and see all of that. I wanted to address a couple other things too. I'm very happy to see improvements made in the township on a regular basis. I think it's good for the morale of all the residents when they see improvements in our parks and other public places such as pathways and things. And I'd like to thank the residents in Forton for wanting to improve their neighborhood as well by paving their street. Regarding the water and sewer bills, we do need, as a board, we need to reflect the increases that we receive. I know that that's going to be part of our annual budget process all the time. I started doing some additional work on getting some of that data so that it would become an easier thing to understand from my perspective anyway. And my perception of, speaking of perceptions, my perception is this board has been elected by the public to make decisions on their behalf regarding policies and spending of the tax dollars for the betterment and the safety of our community. Thank you.
Treasurer Elliott.
Thank you. Just two quick things. First of all, the mural at the fire station looks amazing. I'm super proud of the work that was done there. Definitely, if you haven't gone by, take a drive by. It's great. It's awesome. And then the other thing, there was a comment about the gate in the funds, the $50,000 that the funds come out of. That comes out of the general fund, and the conversation about the water and sewer expenditure comes out of the water and sewer fund. So I think there was a little bit of confusion that those came from the same spot, and those do not. Thank you.
Clerk Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Last week at my meeting that I had with my department, my team in the clerks and elections offices, I asked them a question. I posed a question to them and I said, what does success as an employee here in Chesterfield Township mean to you? And I said, what it means to me, success for me is cultivating great minds to produce exceptional results for our taxpayers and our residents. That's what success means to me, and that's how I measure it. And then they said, well, okay, I saw the look on their faces, what's a great mind? What do you consider that? I said, a great mind isn't someone that's got a high IQ, someone very smart. Those are valuable people. But I've seen, and I think all of us have seen, some really smart people do some really dumb things. And I said, no. I said, I actually attribute Eleanor Roosevelt's quote. She said that great minds discuss ideas while average minds discuss events and small minds discuss people. And actually, she wasn't the first one who said that. It was actually, and I might have to ask Trustee Anderson to help me because he's a history guy, but I believe it was either Aristotle or Socrates who said it first, but it's often attributed to Eleanor Roosevelt. And I said, so great minds discuss ideas. And that's what it takes to be successful. And in the clerk's department, we have done that. We've made that a mission. And as a result of being data-driven and solution-focused, where we are talking about ideas, how can we enhance our service offerings? How can we gain more grant funding? How can we somehow make everything that the clerk's office is responsible for better than it was yesterday? And we have those discussions often, and I wanted to let them know that that's why we have received a record amount of grant funding, because we've taken that approach. That's why we have had so many enhanced service offerings over the last several years for our residents. That's why we have enhanced our security for elections and maintained election integrity at a level that we can all be proud of. So that's how we do that, and we will maintain that type of approach. And I think that, you know, the other thing that I reminded them of is that we are 100% in control of our attitudes and of our responses to challenging or negative situations. And so as Chesterfield Township goes, and it's going to be facing some challenges. We've talked about water rates. We've talked about a number of things. And the fact is, I need to just keep in mind that approach, the approach of a great mind, and that is that we need to discuss ideas and be solution-focused and data-driven. And I would encourage anyone, if you have an idea that you would like to bring to us or bring to me to help make the clerk's office better, or anything that we are involved with, or anything here at the board table, I am happy to share and exchange ideas with you, because we are thinking every day in the clerk's office how we can make things better for the people who we serve. And I look forward to doing that with all of my colleagues here on the board as well. Thank you.
Mr. Supervisor, just a quick clarification.
Yeah.
I checked with Trustee Anderson. He was classmates with Socrates, but he doesn't know, and it was his younger cousin that dated Eleanor Roosevelt, not him.
I knew he was here before the dinosaurs, but he's
Yeah,
going way back.
I just asked him in the break here.
I knew we'd have the answer.
I really don't, there's not much to say. Everybody's addressed everything that came up. Just the one comment, one of the residents, you don't make sense. That's the problem. That person has never made sense and just confused everything. This is very straightforward. This is a business approach to it. You don't like the studies, that's too bad. They're the professionals. They're the ones that we should be leaning on when we should be asking for direction and thought. Unfortunately, that's not your expertise, and you just continue to bring the same old vitriol to the podium. It would be different. I would challenge you to change your tone and be more open, and maybe engage us in a peaceful tone instead of being confrontational, name-calling, to where you're just derogatory for 3 minutes at the board. Makes no sense. We are all up here to make this community better, and that's what we are going to do, with or without you. And as Trustee Joseph spoke, I'm very comfortable myself with what the residents know about me and how they elected me. So to you, sir, You bring your history from Sterling Heights, everybody knows it. You would have thought you came into this community and you'd had an opportunity to change your tone and maybe learn from your past and change it and work with the community. But you haven't. You do the same thing. You go back and watch all the Sterling meetings and you do the same thing. Why? What are you going to win? What is your goal? There's no reason for it. Nobody up here is trying to do anything nefarious or underhanded. We're here doing the people's job, and that's what we're going to continue to do. This is ridiculous. You come to the point, you hold up signs. There's no reason. Okay, you don't like the gate. We get it. We get it. Pardon me? But I'm here. You're not. Run for election. That's what your avenue is. That's what your avenue is. You don't have to do it. There's no reason to come in here. You get it. You don't like the gate. You don't like sheets. You don't like development. You don't like it. I get it. But you don't have to be angry about it. So with that being said, Mr. LaFata, please stop. Please stop. With that being said, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Supervisor Kersten, Trustee Joseph, all those in favor?